Mhm.
Trying to see if you can see this.
No.
Is that some sort of multi-market thing, multi-level marketing or something that you're trying to sell us on?
Oh, it's
Oh, you have
I
to
like
take off
it.
your blur. If you take off your blur, we should be able to see it.
yeah. You're asking me to do a lot now.
You were the one trying to show us something.
Yeah, I was testing you guys. I was supposed to hand it out in person at this meeting. That's why.
Well, I'm here.
What do I do to take off the blur? Can you tell me?
Yeah, you go to your meeting settings.
Well, where would that be, Bernadette?
What device are you using? Your laptop or?
Desktop, Apple?
Okay.
The other thing is I could email a PDF of it.
That would be groovy.
But then you're toggling back and forth between the PDF and the screen,
Yeah.
which I discovered out kind of a problem
It could just be,
with doing the Zoom meetings.
Yeah,
I get
Sorry
around
to
that,
interrupt.
Shayna, by having
Sorry,
two
guys.
different devices.
Oh,
Zoom.
okay, smart.
Dr. Foreman, please let
That's
me know when
fancy.
you're ready to resume recording.
Is everyone back? We're missing people?
I'm not sure who all is coming back. I had heard that some people were gonna need to leave early, etc. You said 1 o'clock, and that's in a few seconds here.
Okay. We'll start at 1.
Okay. The Zoom recording is going. I just need to tell the hotel tech when you're ready.
Okay, I'll start recording.
It's 1 o'clock. So let's reconvene our meeting. And we're going to go to number 9 and number 10, which Bernadette requested be on the agenda. And I do want to say that Bernadette sent me an email about the health department on September 19th, requesting this particular item on the agenda. And so that's where it came from. And the 3 additional board seats, Bernadette, take it away. Thank you.
Oops. I just like to clarify that actually what I had, when I had sent this out, it was originally last year in November, and it was and then it was tabled, and we took it up again at our May meeting, and we were discussing it, but it was tabled again, and the whole intent was to have this discussion prior to the beginning of the new terms, if we were going to do outreach. And now that we're in the term, and all 3 of these people who would be directly elected by the board have been elected as officers for the next year, and the timing is off on this. And also in terms of looking at another health department, again, we already had sent out letters of notification. The current health department that has been selected by the board previously has reappointed Heather to that position. And so at this time, I just want to withdraw this.
Okay. Because we think Heather is great. and we'd hate to see her go. No. We appreciate
you.
that. Thank you. And how about number 9? You
Well,
want
wait,
to draw that one too?
I do have my hand up on this one.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, Heather is great. She's been reappointed already. I think that given that she would have to stay, but I think that we should discuss the recruitment of the other 3 positions and put together a committee that would address the recruitment of those positions. It makes sense to me. They haven't been reappointed. So, I mean, I think that does make sense.
Okay, Jill, could you give us some clarification on these positions, please?
On the 3 positions,
Yes.
yes. Hang on, let me pull my document here. So there's 3 positions that the board gets to appoint. One is an attorney licensed by the state of California, who's been practicing for at least 3 years and represents a city, county, or city and county. The other one is a person representing a massage business entity that has been operating in the state for at least 3 years. And the other one is a person appointed by a majority vote of the council that has knowledge of the massage industry or can bring needed expertise.
Okay. So those are the areas where people are already on the board, and in the future, that's something to look at.
I'm sorry, Jeff. My point is that they haven't been reappointed. There's been no process to reappoint them. I don't even think, I know, though I like Shana, I don't think she's even a city or county attorney anymore. It would make sense for us as a board to recruit for those positions, or at least set some process in place to recruit for those positions, because they haven't been appointed. They're just out there in limbo.
Amos, do you have anything to add to this?
Well, the board, if you look at the minutes from last board, the draft minutes, that's what the board, I think, discussed last time to set up a process for it. Historically, what the board has done in the past in regard to that, staff was instructed to advertise as widely as possible for the 3 positions, to kind of call in people to apply for it. So that's, I think it was several years ago, and that's what was done. I think that's a healthy things to do, but it's up to the board. Generally, I think is opening it as wide as possible is always a good idea. I think, Jill, you may want to address the issue that Mike just mentioned in regard to Shana. I think that statute is saying that they need to be a city attorney working for the city or county when they get appointed. So at this point, we are still, I believe, in line with the law, but the board can always reopen this. And I believe, I don't have it in front of me, but the way it was done in the past is Bernadette, I think you and I have had discussions about it. We had a Zoom meeting to discuss this. Can you refresh my memory how it was done in the past?
So previously, what happened was that there was an open position in between terms where people were invited to submit applications to fill that position. And there was 160 applicants, and there was a working group that was, and Mark was on that working group, and out of the 160, there were 4 folks that were considered qualified for the position, and then Mark recommended one of those people to serve. Going back to the question that about whether or not does, if we have terms and people are supposed to be reappointed every 4 years, or else somebody else is supposed to be appointed, is kind of the question that I'm trying to understand. And I think that Mike Callaghy was getting at, because in terms of the city attorney or county attorney position, my understanding is because the last time that the term expired, that position was not actually reappointed at that time. It was just that because there wasn't another qualified applicant, even though
Bernadette, do you want me to jump in on this one?
Yes, thank you.
So yeah, under the corporate law, a director continues to serve until a successor is appointed or elected. And they did a wide search, sent it out to, my understanding was all the cities and counties, and didn't get a single application for that attorney position. And so Shana has continued to serve. But it can certainly be, you can send out another solicitation.
I'm sure we can find a city or county attorney that would be willing to sit on this.
And I agree, Mike, and especially since there's been a change in statute in this after sunset review, and that it opened it also to county, because before it says work for a city, and we suggested and the legislature complied with opening a city or county. So I think now we have a much broader pool to choose from. Bernadette, going back to, I was just looking now back about what happened previously. I think it was the chair and the vice chair. We advertised widely. We got many applications for one positions, and they were narrowed down. And I remember it was, I believe, Elna.
Yes.
And there was another thing, and it was Niara. That the board
no there was and Mark, please feel free to correct me, but my understanding is, because you were the one that was you were on that committee, and you had put forth Elna as the recommendation from that committee, is my recollection. And so, is that the way you remember it?
That is correct. I was
okay.
Dixie was chair.
Wasn't Niara also? Because I remember it was both the chair and the vice chair sifted through. You guys the whole process of grading things and all that. You narrowed it down, and I think you brought like 4 people to the board. I remember what hotel we were. They came and spoke to the board, and the board voted for 2. And I think it was Niara and Elna.
Dixie was chairperson. I was vice chairman. And we had a very carefully designed matrix with valued questions. That is, questions had varying values according to their importance. And then how they answered those questions and how they answered us, instead of predetermined questions, each got the same list of questions. We made our determinations and brought forward that narrowed down group to the board for appointment.
Okay. There wasn't 4 people that were brought to the board the last time. I think what you're talking about is like the back in and I apologize, because I realize that we're actually talking about 2 different times. I was talking about not the original when the Massage Therapy Act was amended in 2014 and went into effect 2015. And I think that's what you're referring to, Mark. When I had been talking to Amos about it, I was actually referring to, I believe it was 2017, or 2018 when that there was a resignation of the person who I believe it was actually Mike Callaghy, who was the person that had been directly appointed by the board for the position of somebody who had special expertise. And when he stepped off the board, that's when we had you had a process where you really sent out an invitation, and that's where I'm talking about like 160 people applied. And I don't think, I think that you were chair at that time. And so rather than, I don't need to confuse, I get into all these details. I would assume that what we want to do is think about moving forward and how we should proceed.
Okay, I have a question for Jill, probably followed by a motion. Question has to do with the terms, Jill, correct me if I'm wrong, are for 4 years or until an appointment is made. That is for 4 years with no necessary expiration date if the position is not filled by a subsequent appointment. Is that correct?
Well, not exactly. I mean, the terms are 4 years, and the board needs to reappoint people every 4 years. The reason Shayna is still sitting there, though, is they tried and they couldn't. They got no responses. They got no applications for Shayna's seat. So that's why she's still sitting there. But the board can't just not. I mean, people do have terms, so the terms are 4 years.
Okay,
and the board should make every effort to, you can reappoint who you have for sure, or you can do a wide search to find other applicants. So it's really up to the board.
Then in that case, I will move to instruct staff to advertise as widely as possible and extensively search for candidates to fill the 3 positions, except in the case of a conflict of interest, to be overseen by the chair and vice chair.
I would like to,
if someone, for instance, is appointed, we're seeking for someone to fill my position, that is someone with expertise in the field, I could not be part of that.
May I make a friendly amendment?
Sure.
May I suggest a subcommittee instead of the chair and vice chair?
Knowing that a subcommittee has to post their meetings, post the location, notice the meetings 10 days ahead, and have a location preset and announced ahead of time for the public to attend?
No,
Actually,
I was just
not if
referring.
it's 2 people.
Not if it's 2 people.
Yeah, I was just referring to a subcommittee to do the work of providing some options for the positions.
No, I wouldn't accept that as a friendly amendment. If you'd like to know why, I'll be happy to explain.
Sure, of course.
The chair and vice chair, by virtue of their position, by virtue of the interface they have with the entire staff and the rest of the board, are in the best position to make decisions about who would be suitable to serve on the board. The chair and vice chair in the past, historically, have created an extensive set of criteria which are graded according to value, accompanied by a set of questions to determine suitability, aptitude, experience, expertise, and each applicant is asked the same question. And then there's also a set of like a questionnaire for them to fill out, which each has its own value. One question may have greater value than another. And so once those are tallied, it's a rather well-developed scientific model of assessing the qualities of applicants. This is something that's worked very well for us so far. And the reason I don't accept the amendment is that There may be people who are fully qualified in their own fields, but don't have a knowledge of the industry, CMTC's board workings, the bylaws, such things. And that's why it's always been in the hands of the chair and vice chair. That's my complete answer.
So
we have a motion.
Anyone second?
I just want to point out we have multiple people raising their hands, Mike Callaghy, Amos, and Sarah.
Sarah, go ahead.
I just want to know from Jill, does the language state that it must be the chair and vice chair? It doesn't. Okay. It seems to me when it says the board, I think that a portion of the board would also be agreeable to make this decision. If not, from what Bernadette says in the past, it seems like the person was chosen and placed in the seat versus, you know, two very well qualified candidates being brought to the board and presented to them to choose for each of the seats. Something of that nature might be a way that I might amend this to. If the chair and vice chair keep control of the choosing, perhaps the board could have a choice between, you know, the top two candidates for each seat as a possibility, or for some version of that. I can flesh that out when I hear a few more folks as well.
I think what you're describing is how it's been being done. That is,
Okay.
Vice chair and vice chair do the search, they receive the information, they select candidates for interview, and usually face-to-face interviews. And then they bring those names to the board for voting. So the board does participate. They participate after the vetting process is completed by the chair and vice chair.
But the actual vote is done by the board, not by.
That's correct.
The
full board votes on the choices brought forward by the chair and vice chair. And the board has the ultimate decision as to whether they accept an applicant.
But the chair and the vice chair filter out and provide the board with the top two that the chair and the vice chair push forward rather than a subcommittee. That's what you're saying.
That's correct. It is the way it's worked has been the chair and vice chair do the selecting, and then you do the presenting, and the board votes on those names presented.
Mike, go ahead.
That is one of the most nonsensical things I've ever heard in my life. Mark, with all due respect, you have zero expertise on attorneys. I happen to be an attorney. I happen to work with attorneys every day. The reason the legislator put this diverse board together is to get different perspectives, not to have two in the industry make all the decisions for this board. And the narrowing down of those candidates is the key part of this. We want this to be as broad a process as possible and to get those most qualified for this board. I can't trust one perspective. I don't mind if one of you are on there, but certainly we need somebody else. I would even say a committee to do this work, and we'll make it work like we've done in the past with committee work. We'll post it. We'll do what we have to do. But to have two people in the same industry narrow down, and quite frankly, you guys are might be terrific, but you have one focus, and you both have the same focus, and you both have the same mindset. We need diverse thinking on this board, not the same.
I'd like to make a quick suggestion just to remind everybody. There's also the option of the entire board receiving the entire pile of applications and the board discuss it. You can do away with that interim process. So it's very broad, very transparent, very open, and that's also an option. You do not have to have in-between process.
I'd be happy with that.
Okay. So we had a motion made. We had discussion against the motion and some for the motion. Anyone else speaking against this motion?
What is the motion? Can you clarify? The friendly amendment was rejected. So could you restate the motion on the table?
Sure. The board instructs staff to advertise as extensively and widely as possible for the positions open, with the chair and vice chairman selecting a slate or a group to bring to the board for final vote, provided there is no conflict of interest in the positions that are open to be filled. As an example, in my case, I would not be able to decide upon applicants for board positions since I am one of the positions under consideration.
Thanks, Mark. And so where are we on the for, against, for, against?
Well, we had, Mike spoke against it, and I think Bernadette spoke against it. And go ahead, you can go ahead.
Oh, well, I was going to speak against the motion. So I think we need a couple fours to round it out, right?
Anyone want to speak for the motion?
You know, at this point, the motion needs to be reworked to such a point that I'll withdraw it and ask for a new motion. With your permission, Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
I'll withdraw that motion.
Bring the applicants to the full board and let us work through it.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. So,
Knowing that the board may be facing up to 150 or so applicants to sift through.
Hey guys, for Charlotte's sake, can you do a full motion? Was that Mike or Heather or somebody that made that motion, the new motion?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Joe. It was me, Mike.
Can you restate those? Are you still like with Mark's original language about doing a broad search for the available positions?
Yeah, I agree with that. A broad search that would be brought to the full board for consideration.
Okay, thank you. And that, again, just for Charlotte's sake, it's hard for the minutes if it's not explicit.
okay. So we've already digested for and against. So why don't we ask for public comments?
No, I withdrew the motion. You're talking about the new motion?
The new motion, but we've heard everyone speak, and I want to get the meeting moving. Okay, we're beating a dead horse here, it seems like to me. We've thoroughly discussed this, and we came to let's see if we have a consensus to move forward with a new motion. So, no public comments? Then let's have a vote, please.
I don't see any public comments, but
Charlotte has her hand
up.
Charlotte, go ahead.
Sorry, can you confirm who seconded that motion? That
It was me, Charla.
Thank you.
It was.
And just to be clear that we're going to widely publicize these three positions. We're going to bring all the applications to the board. We will discuss it, and then we'll collectively bring in the finalists.
Right.
Does that motion include, or does your concept include interviews, personal interviews with each person? No, that we could, that the board would whittle those down and do interviews after that of those folks that we thought qualified.
Quick question for Jill pertaining to the Bagley King. So after staff gather all of the applications for all the people and their resumes and all that, is all of that needs to be put in the board packet? Any thoughts about that? Because this is uncharted territory. I just want to make sure that staff is following the board wishes, and also any limitations about open meeting. Because there will be some, some contact information, people addresses, phone numbers. So we just need a little guidance on this.
Yeah, and I'm going to reserve the right to amend this because I'm not looking at the law right now, but I do think that we will find a way to get the board those applications in a way that does not violate the Bagley-Keene Open Meeting Act.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Jill.
Thank you. So I call for a vote.
Mike Callagy.
Yes.
Mark Dixon.
Yes.
Shayna Faber.
Well, Jill, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like I need to abstain since one of those positions concerns me directly.
No, Shayna, he was talking about in terms of evaluating applications.
Okay.
You can vote on this motion, but you're right. You know, when eventually the board is looking at all these applications, when we get to the one that has to do with your position, then you would abstain, just like Mark
Okay.
would, and I think Mike Marylander holds one of them too.
All right, so I vote yes.
Heather Forshee,
Yes.
Sarah Fraser,
Yes.
Jennifer Gonzalez, Michael Marylander, Bernadette Murray,
Yes.
Stephanie Powell, Martha Soffer, Jeff Foreman.
Yes.
7 yeses, 4 absent.
Thank you. Motion carries. And now I'm going to ask for public comments.
Jeff, just want to jump real quick just to explain something to the board. I want to call your attention to item number 8. The reason why the board does not really need to address it, in the previous meeting, the board voted, passed a resolution to set a certain threshold to the total amount for the employees' benefits, excluding the CEO. And what the board voted for was was more than sufficient to what our employees benefit consultant calculated. They do all census and all that. They came back with an estimate, and they said that, you know, you in the clear because it was more than sufficient. So that's why we're skipping it. You already voted on it in October.
Thank you. And now, public comments regarding issues not on this agenda. Anyone have their hand up from the gallery?
Yeah, I do, Jeff.
Well, go ahead.
Is that public comments?
It's not public. You're a board member.
Yeah, well, I'm also a member of the public.
Sorry, Mike, I was on the wrong screen. Mike Callaghan's got his hand up.
Okay.
Thanks. Appreciate it. I just want to call to this board's attention the necessity of having a committee to look at the CEO's compensation. I asked that it be on this agenda, and you know, it's usually accommodated. I think for every other board member, it's always been accommodated. When a board member asks for something to be on the agenda, it's usually placed on the agenda. This time it wasn't. And I'm deeply, deeply disturbed by it. We need people to get their arms around this. Just really quickly, last time in the compensation, there was employees used for their comparables rather than revenue, which is.
I have a point of information. Jill, if this is not on the agenda, can we talk about this?
That's the whole point, Jeff. It's not on the
Okay,
agenda.
let me talk about it. Jill?
Well, it's
Is this out of order?
hang on, I'm thinking it's unusual, but I don't think any of you lose your status as a member of the public, and this agenda item is for issues not on the agenda.
Okay.
So I don't think any of you lose your status as members of the public just because you're on the board, but I would caution Mike to be, you know, careful about what he says.
Well, yeah, I'm talking as a member of the public now, and this is all public information. The compensation study used 62 employees as the base to set the comparables. When and that was in 2018, the 990 form that was submitted by the CEO had 32 employees, and that has decreased every year as the compensation of the CEO has gone up. Currently, there's 11 to 15 employees, and if you add the other 4 that are out of state, maybe 19 employees. This is very, very important that we get this right. This has to do with the funding for compensation of the CEO with funds that are paid for by those members out there working in the massage industry every day. Just to give you an idea, the compensation right now is approaching $700,000 when you think about salary and benefits. $700,000. That's over $300 an hour while those massage therapists are making about $30 an hour. This is why I wanted it on the agenda for us to talk about and set a committee that would look at this. Thank you.
Another member of the public has their hand up, Kimberly.
Thank you. Kimberly, go ahead.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you guys for offering a Zoom option for the 50,000 therapists to view it. And hopefully you guys think about other options like this so other people can access this. I just wanted to mention the discrepancy of just the excessive fees that people, massage therapists like me, have to go through and the fee that CMTC allows for. We get charged a lot. We don't make a whole lot. As Mike said, we make about 30 an hour. We don't make 120 an hour when you calculate the expenses and everything. So we really aren't making a whole lot when we really break down what we do. So if we could get more consistency, because a lot of people thought CMTC would make it easier and less fees, because the fees range from $50,000 to $13,000 to be a massage therapist. And I would also like to bring up having public disciplinary actions. A lot of states have that as public record that people can look that up. I feel like if you guys want to protect the public, that needs to be public information if people want to find a therapist who's not going to potentially harm them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public?
I have
No.
my hand raised
Oh, Heather's got her hand up.
Heather?
as a member of the public, and I've communicated informally over the years about setting a board schedule for the year, a calendar for the year, and I would really like to appeal to the board to set an agenda or a calendar for the year well in advance of the first meeting of the year, if at all possible. And that makes it a lot easier for those board members to plan ahead. This last meeting was very last minute, at least for my schedule. And I think that it would benefit the public and board members if the schedules were laid out and even approved by the board at the next meeting, so that we have it calendared, just like many of the other boards out there. It's calendared, it's voted on and approved by the board, and then that board approval is a de facto agreement that board members will be able to attend and calendar these meetings accordingly far in advance. So that's my appeal.
Mr. Dixon has his hand up.
You bring up a great point, and I'd like to underscore that, Heather. I want to ask the CEO, life would be a lot easier for me if I knew that each quarter, on the first month of each quarter, the first day of each quarter's month, there'd be a meeting. But we don't do it that way. What kind of things get in the way of us having a regular, predictable schedule? What makes it impossible to have that?
So the meetings, again, the schedule of the meeting are always determined by the chair. That's the ultimate decision maker, not by staff. Traditionally, what we have done, we typically have a meeting toward the end of the first quarter. Well, last year was different because we had a major expense and a major meeting that we held in June in Santa Monica to address a very, very important issue for this board and the legislature that has to do with the exam. So with all of that, last year we had 3. Jill, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe you always mention to the board that the board is required to have at least one annual meeting a year. The rest is up to the board discretion. Again, Joseph, you have not been around at the beginning. When CAMTC started, we actually had a meeting every month because the board was pretty much doing everything. So it was practically a monthly meeting, and then it kind of changed. So going back into calendaring, in recent years, we would have like a meeting in March. Sometimes it will be impacted by in years that we have sunset review and hearings. but it's typically around the end of March, and then another one at the beginning of June. If you look historically, the reason for it is once you get in the middle of June, July, August, beginning of September, we found it's very difficult to maximize participation by the board. So we're always kind of targeting the end of March, beginning of June, and then when we go into the fall, either the end of September, beginning of October, and then we try to have another meeting in the early part of December to address the budget mainly for the following year. So that kind of historically why it doesn't work exactly, because when we tried it, we just had no takers, especially when we dealt with the summer.
Thanks for the answer. Back to you, Mr. Chair. You're muted, Dr. Foreman.
Any other public comments? Then we'll go to, hearing none, the Chief Executive Officer's report, please.
You have my report in your board packet, and I submit it as is. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Now here, Bernadette has a question.
Yes, the question that I have a couple of questions, and I even though it's your report, almost, I did not see a report from our director or our outreach and communications person, and so is there an outreach plan for 2024, just at least in terms of some specific events throughout the year?
Yes, we do have tentative events we are looking at, but it's still being worked on, and we have not made any commitment to participate in any event, with the exception of we have registered in January to attend FARBS. Those of you who are not familiar with FARBS, FARBS is the Federation of Association of Regulatory Boards. This is CMTC is a member of FARBS, and previously we attended it before. This is a meeting that the Federation Board attends. Also, like in the last meeting that I attended, the Nevada Board, the chair and the executive director and some of her staff attended. So we registered for that, and so that is something we are considering attending, but the rest of them, there's no specific commitment to attend or participate.
Okay, and then also on the Form 990 for this year, as I had pointed out to you that there was a figure that was missing.
Right.
Perhaps I didn't make it clear that my expectation was that you would send out a corrected form.
Yeah. Yeah. So just so the board understand, there was a table there that when it was cut and paste by the auditors, it was just missing. So it created a situation where the total on the bottom did not make sense. So it was pointed out, the auditors finished amending it, and I will be sending it to the board prior to submitting that amended 990.
Okay, so I have also heard from a member of the public who had requested a copy of the Form 990. Has there been any communication back to that member of the public that it, that the Form 990 will be sent as soon as it's corrected, or?
Not exactly. So when we receive a request for Form 990, the person who receive it typically within 30 days. We're required to send it within 30 days. So I believe staff did communicate to this particular individual that they will receive it, by a certain date. I don't have it in front of me, but
December 27th, Thomas.
December 27th, correct. So the board will receive a copy of the amended 990, and before the 27th, that particular request will be fulfilled.
Okay, and so also, and I'll make this the last question. We have a board policy that says that the date and location of the board meetings is to be posted 30 days in advance of the meeting. We also say on our website that as soon as the location details are known and the date is known, it'll be posted on the website. Was it just an oversight for this meeting that even though there was this a location and a date had been set, that it wasn't posted on the website 30 days ahead of time?
Probably. I have to look and see, why it was not posted.
Okay, thank you.
The board policy is to post it at least 30 days before, and we try to do it as early as possible. So if it was not followed, that's not okay. And we'll look into it.
Thank you very much, and thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions on the CEO report? Seeing none, how about the treasurer's report? Michael? Doesn't look like Michael's here.
That's correct.
No.
He did text me that he had to leave, so and he said that his report is as is, and I can try to answer any questions, but hopefully if you do have questions, I'll do my best to answer them. Or maybe Jennifer. Is Jennifer still on the call?
I'm here. Yes.
Yeah, I'm here.
Any questions?
Michael was very sick, so don't know if you heard it in his voice. Go ahead.
Bernadette, did you have a question?
Yes, I did have a question. To pick up on what Heather was mentioning earlier, in terms of the trend that of new applicants trending down, Michael had said we should monitor this. I had hoped that I could ask him in what did he have in mind in terms of monitoring this?
Well, I can just tell you that the staff monitors it on a monthly basis. And so I'm not exactly, John, maybe you can jump in here because these data typically come from operation. I don't have your most recent report in front of me, but it seems to me that the 300 applications a month has been pretty consistent. Am I off here, John? I realize I'm putting you ahead of schedule here, but just want to try to answer this question.
So, give me one sec. When someone spoke earlier, I think it was you almost, about the average being 311 new applications per month. Is that what we're talking about or something else?
Well, there's a comment here that the number of new applications a month is trending down. I didn't see it like that, because when I'm looking on a monthly basis on the charts, I think it has been pretty consistent. I mean, of course, if we look all the way back to 2009, we received 4,000 applications a month. Okay, so because we came out of the gate, but I think in the last 12 to 24 months, it's been pretty even. But this is something Bernadette, if you have a specific request.
No, I really wanted, I'm sorry, this is, unfortunately, you're being put in the position of having to kind of mind read what Michael might have meant by this. I would have liked Michael to, I didn't realize he was ill. But I do think that it's important that we discuss this in our meetings, and so that I can get an understanding of how he thinks that the board should be monitoring this in terms of if there's a trend, why he's concerned about it when you're seeing something different. And this is why we have both a CEO report and a treasurer's report, is because we want to see, different points of view and help inform the board more completely. So I was also going to ask Michael, and I have brought this up to him before, about, even though in terms of our revenue stream, schools may not are a smaller portion, in terms of actually looking at the number of new applicants and factors like that, I had urged him before to start including information about the number of applications for school approval, new and reapproval applications, and because I think this gives us a fuller picture in terms of these components that are both part of our mission statement. Approving massage therapists for certification, and approving schools. So again, I don't mean to, I understand that these are not, I'm asking you to respond for Michael when these are things that are really more like it would be good for him to be able to share his point of view. And so
I agree, but I think also what will be helpful while you're talking about the schools, I think typically these numbers also get included in Joe Bobb's report too. Number of schools applying and things like that. But so it's readily available. It's right there. I don't think there'll be any issue for Michael to grab all these numbers and bring it to his report too. So.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
I want to understand Bernadette's question fully. Maybe I need to catch up with where you're heading, Bernadette. Were you asking about just schools or applicants for certification and research? So I'm looking at the treasurer's report.
I'm saying that what Michael has done over the years in his treasurer's report is he has pretty much focused on the individuals, like certification, initial certification and recertification of individuals. He has not included information about school applications, either new or renewals, in his report. And I understand what Amos is saying, that Joe Bob may talk about, sometimes he'll include the number of new applications that have come in. But in terms of the actual like revenue amounts or looking at things like that, Joe Bob doesn't typically include that in his report. And
so you'd like to have those financials concerning schools, new and renewing, in the treasurer's report?
As well, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's reasonable to ask for that. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. The Director of Government Affairs and Human Trafficking, number 14.
He is unfortunately not available.
Thank you.
Couldn't
Yeah,
stay.
but
Just
her-
FYI, I do see Beverly on the meeting. Are you saying that she's?
Oh, she's back,
almost?
right? No, I mean, if she's back, she's back. I know she had to get on and off the call, so.
I've sent her a request to unmute. There she is.
Okay, unfortunately, I just got onto the internet and I'm looking for my report. Do you want to take another report while I open mine?
Okay.
Or are there any questions?
Bernadette is motioning.
Is the chair recognized?
I recognize that.
Rick could do his report now while Beverly's getting her things together, if you like.
No, if Bernadette has a question, I'm prepared to answer it. I have my report up.
Oh, great. Thank you so much, Beverly. I had previously you had reported on the massage ordinance in Citrus Heights, which initially was going to have like a limitation on the number of massage business permits that would be issued by the city. And you had reported that you had been able to, in conversation, convey, in essence, to have the staff and the city council in Citrus Heights reconsider that and not include that in their amended massage ordinance. Have you had interaction with Lemon Grove? And because it looks like they have moved forward with a massage ordinance that includes a fairly significant limitation on the number of new massage businesses, or rather the total number of massage businesses that in their city.
So Citrus Heights, the way, just off the top of my head, the way that they were defining it, and I don't believe it's gone to city council yet. I just don't remember off the top of my head. I'd have to get back to you, but they were going to consider if, say, one person, 5 massage therapists rent an office together and one, they share 2 or 3 rooms. They would consider that one business. They weren't going to include people going to homes or working from their homes as establishments, so they wouldn't be in the count. So they were very, very generous in the way that they had defined it. Lemon Grove, I was just looking at like last week or so, but I just, off the top of my head, I don't remember. I could maybe look it up, because I know I always discourage caps, because they might have, you know, 2 franchises that each have 25 massage rooms and are open 10 hours a day and can see, you know, 250 clients a day, and 2 individual massage therapists who can see 4 or 5 in a day. It just doesn't seem fair if they, you know, because it's hurting the individual massage therapists who don't want to work for those franchises. But if you want, I can look up Lemon Grove, my notes on it.
I was, and the first part of my question was really like, had they interacted with you in terms of updating their massage ordinance before it was taken to the city council and passed by the city council?
So I have to say, and I'm at the hospital right now. My husband is undergoing a serious procedure, and just before they took him in, the nurse gave us some very serious, scary information on the risk that he won't come out of the room. So I'm not really focused right now. I'm really sorry.
No, please take care of yourself, take care of your husband. You know, and really, Beverly, you're going way above and beyond. I did not realize what was going on with you. Thank you for being willing to share that. And I don't even expect you to be.
But actually, I just opened my files and I had a lengthy talk with the city planner who called me at like 7 p.m. on a Friday evening. And his massage therapist, his fiance is a massage therapist who does alcohol. So,
hey Beverly, why don't you just really take care of your family right now? We
okay, but yeah, this is not an issue. I'll send you some notes about it. Why I decided that this was very appropriate and had been well thought out.
All right, we'll say prayers for your husband.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Beverly. Our thoughts are with you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bev. And now, Rick, are you ready to roll?
As soon as I find that unmute button, I am. Yeah, I know this is being a hybrid meeting. I had prepared some manuals. Well, I have extra manuals that I was going to pass out in person, and I was trying to do it earlier to see if it would work. And it's called the Smart Guide. I don't know if you can see it right.
Closer to the screen. It's closer to the lens.
Yeah.
There you go. Kind of.
Sorry about this.
Put it in front of your face. Oh, it's getting blurry again.
Yeah, it'll catch some of it, but
it's blurry. Putting it in front of your shirt, Rick.
Oh,
there you go.
And what it is it's got a number of people holding, their hands in the middle, and the SMART stands for Specialized Multi-Agency Response Team. And this SMART guide goes along with the Operation Get Smart virtual training we do every month, with the exception of December. This is about 39 pages long, and we have put together a whole list of things that are inside here. Number one is it has Amos and CEO comments on the first page. And then after that, it's
have your shirt, sir.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Anyway, it's got a frequently asked question from Amos. As a city manager who he deals with consistently, what steps do I need to implement using the Operation Get Smart strategy to remove human trafficking in massage from my city? We think this is something that city managers, chiefs of police, mayors are asking themselves all around the whole state. Within the manual, there's my bio, Beverly's bio, and we introduce Elaine Cattell, who is a senior management analyst for the city of Sunnyvale, who developed a really potent massage establishment license or permit. And one of the things that we are constantly talking to with people in the civilian portion of working in these the finance department, the people that come face to face with a human trafficker when they initially come to their city, is what kind of application are you handing them? And for the most part, we get answers, well, it's a 1 page, it's a 1.5 page, and it hardly asks any questions that would elicit information from a criminal. And you'd be surprised that the application that Sunnyvale uses is 9 pages long. And it asks a whole litany of more information. And within it, if your massage ordinance supports this 9-page business application, you have the ability to close this place down quickly, or just deny them at the front door. You know, once a criminal enterprise gets entrenched in your city, it's hard and it's expensive for all of the cops, code enforcement people to go out and try to, get evidence against the location to close these places down. And so we thought this would be a proactive instead of a reactive training for the civilians working that front counter. So when Beverly and I went to the California, where did my page go here? To the California Municipal Revenue and Tax Association conference in Berkeley in November, we were able to talk to 100 people that do this exact job. These are the people sitting at the counter, working that counter when that trafficker comes in. So in our networking with them, Beverly and I were able to gather a large group of people. I think we had over 50 out of the 100 that were there, and there was other breakout classes. And we passed out this manual. Now, everyone got a manual, and they were able to go through this. It has the key program elements of it. It has an application workflow. It's got the sample application that's 9 pages versus 1 page. It has inspection forms. We also included the Department of Industrial Relations, the statewide offices, that if you had cash pays or no workers' comp, these were folks you could call in. That would be part of the title, multi-agency response teams to come in and assist you with your investigations. And at the very end, we even gave human trafficking organizations that deal with victims working in massage statewide, just like the DIR catalog. So this gave somebody a great start on how to conduct an investigation, where to look. And that's just the civilian portion of it. It's been very popular here in California, so popular that we have other states coming to our training now. It isn't just California, folks. We have Minnesota, Washington, we have Oregon, we have Texas. These folks have come to our training to learn how California is doing it. The most notable thing, though, is that the state of Minnesota, which is one of the most highly regulated states, has no massage therapy laws at all, none. So since January, when we started this, to now, we've had over 26 people working in different cities in Minnesota come to our training all year long. Every month, we've had somebody from Minnesota. And it's showing us, to me, it's validation that CAMTC is on the right track. It's doing the things the right way. And other states within the country are looking to us on how to improve what they have or to create something that is beneficial for them. And so that's one of the highlights of the whole training. But and in the report, you're going to see how many attendees we have from the different cities and whatnot. But we've set a record this year with being that we're now doing civilians and cops and code enforcement. We had 455 people attend training this year alone, which is the highest number we've ever had. And there doesn't seem to be any let up in this. And I'm looking very forward to next year and beyond as far as being able to address this issue. That's the highlight of my report today. Anybody has any questions?
Keep up the great work, Rick. We appreciate it. And hopefully all of us can get smart.
Hopefully so. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And now, if there's no questions for Rick, then John, Director of Operations, please. Number 19.
I kept it bare bones this time, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. No questions? Great. Everything's self-explanatory. You guys are doing a fantastic job, by the way.
Thank you, sir. The team is doing a good job and I appreciate it. And also thanks to everyone for helping make this meeting go a little bit more smoothly than it might have.
Thank you. All right. And now,
John, I have a comment for John Walters, if I may. John, I'm in touch with a lot of state and municipal organizations from around the country. I don't know anybody who answers the phone as quickly, responds as rapidly to an email, or resolves a concern more efficiently than CMTC. I want to thank you for what you're doing there in Sacramento with your staff of people. It's really good to know that you're on the other end of the phone.
Well, thank you, sir. And that goal was set by all of you, and that's the mission that you assigned me to achieve. So thank you. I mean, it's a team effort all the way from upstairs to the people that I'm looking at my office window doing the work. So I appreciate that compliment. Thank you.
thank you. And now, Joe Bob, would you like to finish number 20, your report?
Sure, absolutely. So on the out-of-country education, we received our first applicant with out-of-country education on December the 6th. As you may recall, the law just went into effect on January the 1st. The board passed the policy. Everything got in order. We got a school on board, a school approved. And so we had to get school and applicant buy-in to it. So we were excited to get that first one here in just about 11 months, which can sound like a long time, but when you look at all the steps in place and other regulatory organizations to make something like this happen, I really think it's amazing that we got there in 11 months. There haven't been many takers as of yet. Some of that, of course, the board decided to do a pilot program of limiting to education in North America, which I think is good because there were many steps. And so I think it continues to be. Obviously, we would like to have a few more people come and go through the process in order to get some feedback on any areas where maybe we can tweak the process, make it more efficient while continuing to protect the public. A couple of interesting things from it. A lot of the inquiries that we got, we've since realized in talking further to those inquiries and also to the school, was they're not in California. They're still out of country, and a lot of them are looking for ways to use a visa to get here. That's not really something we do, nor is it something that a lot of these schools necessarily particularly do with. And so that's sort of been interesting to realize that a lot of these inquiries are looking for ways to come here and trying to use massage to do it. So we'll see if that trend sort of continues. And then we're looking forward to having some new schools approved here in the new year. And I think as word continues to spread and as these applicants from out of country continue to get approved, I think word will spread and we'll get some more. So hopefully here at the next, obviously every board meeting, I will be happy to update where we are. But I think here in a few board meetings, we should have some more information as this gets kicked off. But I'm really excited that we were able to get all of this done within this calendar year and get our first applicants rolling in. On the scholarship, I ended up being the point person for the scholarship. I've been receiving them, and we've gotten approximately 30 or so. I know a couple of come in this week, and tomorrow is the deadline. So I expect we'll have a few more today and tomorrow that come in right before the deadline. We'll probably have a few that come in after the deadline, but we will have those. And I think that's been a good number. I certainly have received a lot of positive words from schools and from applicants who are very grateful for the opportunity to apply. And I'm just glad that I don't have to decide who the scholarship recipient is going to be, because I know there's going to be several really highly qualified candidates, and it's going to be a tough job to do that. MBLEX, as you heard from Dr. Persinger earlier, they've tabled any implementation of the resolution that was passed. So we're dealing with the bigger school issues right now, which we talked about earlier. And otherwise, everything pretty much is in the report. The school newsletter that I mentioned, it has gone out since the deadline for me to get my report into the packet occurred. So the school's newsletter is out, and we can put a copy of that in the next board meeting packet. But just know that item did occur, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Go ahead.
Bernadette has her hand up.
Yes, thank you, Jeff, for recognizing me. So in terms of schools who are up for reapproval next year, there's a total of 16 that expire from my count, and 7 of those expire before June 30th or on June 30th. Have all of those 7 schools put in an application for reapproval?
I would have to look specifically. I don't have that in front of me, but my initial thought is no, all of them have not, but most of them have.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you. And then we also have new schools that are applying for first-time approval.
We have, the numbers are going back up to about, before the pandemic, we were averaging approximately 5 to 6 a year. Every couple of months, roughly, we would get an application for new schools. And we are, I think this year, I believe we've had 5. So I think we're finally kind of crawling out of that hole of the pandemic and sort of getting back to business as usual.
Okay. Thank you very much, Joe Bob.
Sure.
Bob, any other questions for him? Then we're going to go to item 22, suggestions from board members for future meeting agendas.
I think that as part of my public comments, it would be great to come back and at the next board meeting have a list of calendar meetings that the board is, I don't know whether the board would typically vote on it and therefore by default commit to calendaring these meetings, but that would be something that I would like to see. for the next calendar year.
Thank you. And Mike, go ahead.
I think the same on my public comments. I had requested that we have the compensation study agendized so we could talk about it as a full board and make some logical decisions. And additionally, Bernadette and I are working on some audits, routine audits of things, and we might come back with board suggestions on how we might handle those through the agenda process in the future. So, but I will be in touch with now Mark to agendize those if necessary.
And
I'll request a clarification of terms in that regard, Mike. I was not involved in the compensation discussion or the study this time. You called it a bonus. Was it a bonus or was it a merit increase that he was denied? Which I thought it was a merit increase. I didn't know that we had the term bonus in any part of the compensation study.
Well, I think it's good. It's essentially the same thing, Mark. And I don't want to get too into it because we haven't agendized this. But I think once we agendize it, we can look at it fully and talk about it. But essentially, it comes out to the same thing, and that was denied at the last board meeting.
We can talk in a few minutes. Let's talk in a few minutes, Mike. Thanks.
Okay, any other suggestions for future meeting agendas? Hearing none, then I adjourn this meeting. We're all done. Thank you very much for your time and dedication to CAMTC. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much,
Thanks, everyone.
Jeff, and so glad to see that you're at a point where you can chair the meeting remotely, and best keep up the recovery. Yay, go Jeff.
Appreciate it.
Happy holidays, everyone.
You too.
Happy holidays to you.
Bye-bye, everyone. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Stay healthy.
We're all trying, and yeah.
All right, guys, I'm going to end the meeting. Chris, if you can hear me, we can stop the recording and start packing it up.
Thanks, John, for all your help.
Sure, yeah. And Chris, I'll give you a quick call.